What's up, guys? Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I'm not sure what is going on here with the sound. Am confused. I guess my mic is coming through. Okay. Sorry for the weirdness of the stream here, guys. I've been trying to get on all day to bring some gameplay through. Of course, the game is fighting me tooth and nail here. I think my controller is dead that I'm using. So 27 actually just came out today. It is literally hot off the press. So if you don't own 27, you can go to the Steam store right now and actually purchase the game. So there's that. This is my first Axis experience. So I am looking to sort of just try this game out. Good gosh. Sorry, guys. I'm also new to this Steam PC experience, so it is just fighting me tooth and nail here. I am just a mess. Just got off work a little bit ago and have been fighting with my kids, so I can at least come down here. I'm just going to be playing some CPU games, unfortunately, for you guys. I just don't have time right now to go through a game myself and play. So what I'm going to do is try to just get a game or two going here for everybody. That way you guys can at least see some gameplay for the new game itself. And just bear with me here and I'll get that popping. So we're going to be doing a spectate game. We are going to do, I don't know what, see it's showing me Xbox controls, so that's square is your trying. Okay, so how do I get to the other team here to how do I pick the other team game? What are we doing? Square goes through that. Circle does that. I cannot get the game to let me pick exhibition. Spectate. It just will not let me over to the whatchamacallit side to pick a team for the Winnipeg squad there. So let's just see here. We have a Montreal team, so we have a Canadian and a Mexican team, it looks like. Philly, Pittsburgh, Vancouver. We got Buffalo. Alright, we do have a Buffalo team, so can edit their uniforms. That's pretty cool. They have 6 playbooks, a 4-3 and a 3-4, which is totally fine. Oh, you have to. ready up to go to the other team. So we'll have Buffalo. Is there Boston? There they are. Okay, so we have a Boston team here. We're going to go 10. We're going to go 15 minutes, guys. I'm just going to have this one. We're going to the absolute max. We're going to all-star everything. They are in Boston. I don't want any precipitation, but let me do that. We'll give it a little bit of snow at night. So yeah, I finally figured that out. I don't know why they did the setup that way for that, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So I can hear the audio sort of. Is that the capture card audio maybe? Very weird. Sorry about that, guys. Had to do some things, chores for the wife. So, I haven't actually got to sit here yet and look at the gameplay. That's sort of my plan for right now. Just to kind of give everybody a glance at this at face value. Of course, I'm going to go through over the next few days, try to play the game. If there's any sliders, I'm going to kind of tweak them. And I know that there's a gameplay speed. I am for sure cranking that bitch up immediately. That'll be like the first setting that I change. That was sort of one of my gripes with 26. I just felt like the game moves slow, and I don't know if that's a limitation of the game engine or the animation system or something like that. And I'm not picking on the game. It's just what it is. Specifically, this is the first day of release, and of course, I am kind of in a spot where like I basically work all day, and then I come home and tend to my child. So I'm trying to get some gameplay out there. Unfortunately, I am not able to kind of sit down here and play currently. I'm kind of checking this out for the first time like you guys are. I'm new to Axis. This is a game I'm familiar enough with that I know what it is, but as far as like gameplay and nuances like that, I am unfamiliar. I couldn't tell anything about the audible system or like any of the play calling or anything like that, so that's kind of where I'm at. The new animation system, you could tell they definitely have tweaked it to be key in on some specific moments. Like right there, you have a sideline animation where he knows he has a sideline to work with. He puts a shoulder into the guy and forces him out. And a game like Maximum, there's zero animation situational awareness from either side. Like a player could be running the ball, has no idea if he's near the sideline or not. Basically, from a tackling standpoint, the player just makes a generic animation. If he's near the sideline, you'll trigger all the same ones, especially like if it's a quarterback or something like that. Oh, there he gets stood up. Look at that little cut. So, my goal for this game right now in the short term, of course, I would like to work my way up to a review and some playthrough and stuff, but I'm kind of just soaking in the details right now. I love these player portraits. I love that the AI uses audibles. It looks like they're using motion with the offense. This game does move a little bit slower and triggers things slower than what I would say a Maximum does. And let me be clear, for my initial inspection of this game, I'm going to be comparing this almost one-to-one to Maximum Football, just because I don't want to say it's its direct rival. They're two indie games in the indie space, so most of the same crowd is probably playing this game that also played Maximum, and I fully understand that. But I'm also someone who, from a football video game standpoint, I need to know how this game, stands on its own versus every game from a football standpoint. I know that there are some people that cover this game, and I'm glad they do, because the more eyes on this product, the better. I would really love to see these guys have a huge year with a lot of the good work that they've put into this game. Unlike Maximum, where they just disbanded us and left us without answering any of our questions or listening to us in any form, and just going strictly with the MPL bullshit that they pulled on us. This game seems to be made by a small team as well, but this is a pro football based product. It looks like they're focused in on making it the best single player offline experience that it can be. I don't know how much customization is in this game. I'm going to get to that later, but like I said, in the short term here, my goal is to kind of understand what this game brings to the table, break it down like I did, Maximum. If you guys have been following me, not just for the past couple months, but years, I was covering the beta footage of Maximum, their Twitter clips that they used to post, and try to find the good in what they're doing. I'm going to try to do the same thing with this game. Ultimately, though, it's going to get compared to other football games, mainly Maximum, but like I said, it's a football video game at the end of the day. I'm a football fan. I want to see if the core mechanics of a football game work in this game, and if they do, I'll be pretty happy. I understand its limitations, though, as an indie football game, so there's that as well. But I'll definitely be going through this footage as well and breaking down some things that I've seen already, which I'm really excited to kind of get in and do. But I can't really comment on the game. Like Maximum out the box, if you don't tweak the sliders, the game has so many fatal issues. And for me right now, at face value, for me, that's just the game speed. But it sounded like somebody else basically said that they can tweak that. Okay, that's dope. I'm a big fan of like pro football. I love college football as well, but that's kind of my gripe with Maximum is like I bought it knowing it's a college football product, but the franchise I actually spent money on so that I could play it all the time without having to worry about their ticket system. One issue I've seen already with this game that I noticed in 26 as well is that whenever... Sorry guys, I'm just stuffing my mouth. This is the first time I got to eat too all night. I've noticed that when the AI uses motion or when the user uses motion, the AI sometimes, like the defense, will swap corners from one side to the other. So like, it's not even that they need to like switch or they're trailing coverages, and I'll make a video about this, and hopefully their devs aren't super crazy about me picking the game apart to an extent, but I want to make it better and point out these small little flaws. But whenever you do motion, sometimes the entire defensive coverage tries to switch sides of the field and they can't in time, and it leaves players like physically wide open. So it's just, I don't want to say it's a bug, but it's definitely something of concern, especially if I could figure out if it's like certain coverage that does that or if it's a man or a zone flaw. But I'll get to the bottom of that, don't you worry. That interior line of this, is it Boston team, is kind of eating pretty good. That one dude has made several tackles there in the backfield. But my short-term goal with this game, like I said, I'm going to get some gameplay. I want to just educate people on what it is because I'm technically still learning that as well. Maybe do some comparisons with it and Max. I'm going to start a franchise playthrough, and I'm pretty excited to get into that. Actually, I'll be user playing through a franchise. And at the end of the day, one of my big kind of things I'm stepping up to once I get more familiar with the game is I'm going to be doing a full review of this game on the user scale. As you've seen, if you guys don't know by now, I have 2 football games I've reviewed. Unfortunately, getting reviews out is a very time-consuming process, so there's only a couple that I've been able to kind of dive into. I have an NFL Extreme review and a Maximum Football pre 2.0 patch review that's out. If you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, go check that out so you kind of have an understanding of what to expect from my Axis 27 review. And one of the other things I'm working on too in the background is I'm getting together a Maximum Football 2.0 review, and I don't know if that's going to be funny or depressing for the people that enjoyed that game. I guess we'll see, but good play there. One thing I do like about this game, I can already tell, is they have a little bit smarter of a person doing the play design for both sides of the ball. There you had a nice little dagger concept on the offense. Defensively, you have some cool stuff with, like, it looks like that was like a shift cover 3 where there was like a safety blitz. Very cool stuff that Maximum simply didn't ever get. The Maximum playbooks at face value were pretty tolerable to start, but as you got in depth with football more, you started to see the glaring holes in what they didn't provide us and never fixed. Even with I forget what point they added a couple more playbooks. They were just hodgepodge nonsense for the most part. The RPOs didn't work, and that's a big thing about this game. I'm pretty excited about is some RPO game stuff I want to design and kind of show off. So defensively too, I'm really excited to get in here and do a I don't know if you can if anybody knows, can you edit a playbook in this game, or is it strictly a 4-3 and a 3-4 and we can't actually jump in and do that stuff? I know we can play edit, but as far as playbooks go, is that something that we can do or no? If anybody can answer that, that would be great. I'm going to step away from the mic here for a few minutes, and I will be back here in a few. Damn, Buffalo is whooping the shit out of them, huh? What do you guys think so far? Seeing some good. I'm seeing some things I'll probably make comments on here once I kind of come back through this gameplay. Still not sure what's going on here with the sound. I'm kind of salty that this is a problem right now. See, right there, he did it. Like, they swapped sides. Well, it was just the linebackers, though, which isn't as big of a deal. But, like, when it's both corners, that's super duper problematic. Holy shit, there's actually penalties in this game, too. My head's about to explode. You get back to the huddle, asshole. Ooh, we got a pistol set, eh? So that flexed the safety back to the middle of the field. Look at that. They have actually interior line dropping into coverage on that. Is that a mug look defense, or is that just a 5-man front? So it looks like they were kind of just forcing Boston to take a timeout there, which is pretty dope because, you know, Maximum doesn't actually, you know what it's doing. It's just going through its generic play calling. Hear my neighbor over there going berserk on the other side of the wall. I think he's like a 2K online guy, and if you know anything about that lifestyle, it is not fun from the sounds of it. The announcer actually says names too of players. That's pretty crazy that they've have that dude in the studio doing a ton of that kind of work. That's pretty awesome. It was like a double safety blitz there, huh? Yeah, it was. Cover 0, double safety blitz. Intercepted. So they do run some hurry up here with the 2-minute offense. They have 3 timeouts though. I'm surprised that Buffalo isn't like actually using them. Okay, there's a Buffalo timeout. Okay, so their clock management is a little better than the Maxis or the Maximum stuff for sure. My next thing I'd like to see is the AI run out of bounds to save a timeout. We'll see if it actually gets a chance to like do something like that. If you guys are tuned in, I definitely appreciate it. Again, I am a small channel. I make no money doing this. I'm on my way to try to get to like that 500 sub mark. If you know anything about that, that's about the point where you can kind of monetize your channel. I'm not saying that's why I'm here. I just enjoy football and covering these games. But if I could get to that point, that would be great. I appreciate you guys, liking and commenting. That also, helps as well. Put some eyes on my stuff with me without me needing to spam my link everywhere to get people to kind of coerce them into watching my content. But we're almost at halftime here. I just kind of want to see what the AI is going to do here. They're down to 1 timeout. Boston has none. And it's picked off. What a play by that linebacker. I'm going to have to go through these playbooks and kind of get the idea of what they are kind of scheming up. I know that some of the pass concepts is another big one I test in every game I play. I did that in NCAA. I did that in Maximum. I tested some of that stuff in NFL 2K5 as well when I was playing that a little bit. And one big thing is if pass concepts, it shouldn't matter if it's a video game or real life. They should function the same just because, it's just football. If this game can replicate that at any level, that's also awesome. Yeah, Murph, I would love to make, millions of dollars being able to do YouTube like Mr. Beast or something like that and just totally quit my job and be able to do this full time and actually have the money to spend on like some equipment that's newer than like 2019. I'm still using an Elgato. What is that? The HD60S capture card. I'm using a blue, what is this thing? A Snowball mic. Interesting. Okay, so it looked like it auto went through the halftime stuff there. Got to reconnect to my PS4 controller. Let's just... So we got stats here for all the players. That's pretty dope. We have some of our audio stuff here. So we do have some sliders. Okay, very fun. I'll be able to play around with that. Is that game speed in here? I do not see it. Okay, so there's game speed 1.0. Just for shits and giggles, I'm actually going to crank this up to 1.1 and just see what the difference is here at the end of the half. Ooh, I could switch that. Okay, so now we have the PlayStation icons. Very fun. We do have some penalty toggles that we can kind of customize. Okay, so there is quite a bit of stuff here that we can mess with. Very, very cool. Not that you guys care, I'm actually playing this on a Steam machine, so I've been seeing a bunch of people talk about the Steam Deck and if it's compatible and like kind of how it runs. I can tell you right now, the Steam machine looks like it's handling this game just fine. So if you're curious about that, there's your answer for that information. I was lucky to score one of these about a month ago, right around the time my son was born, and I have basically been playing most of my gaming on this. I still have my PS5 here, but the state of the PlayStation is a very interesting story. If anybody's been keeping up with that, they're basically ending their physical media, which is like a huge part of the PlayStation brand. I mean, if you're anybody that is a collector, and it's weird that I'm, super mega PC guy now because there's no physical media with the PC stuff, but at the same time, I could also install mods. I can play a bunch of games I could never get my hands on before. So I'm basically planning on running out the generation here of PS5, and I am 99.9% sure I will not be buying a PS6, which will be the first time in my life I've never bought a PlayStation console. And I'll probably be sticking mainly to the Steam machine and, some older kind of games. Most of the stuff I want to play anyway is, football titles. So I'll probably be going back to my PS2, if anything, and, maybe pulling some of that stuff off the shelf. I'm not exactly sure. But I will confirm. I guess I could show you at some point. I have a ton of ROMs that I put on here. It does use an emulator. I can't remember exactly what that thing's called, but you could download it on basically the Steam OS is what's installed on this. And it has like a desktop mode where you can go and, you could download emulators and stuff, but there's one that's kind of built in to function with the Steam OS, and it works really well. So it kind of just goes hand in hand. And of course, you can add all your ROMs and stuff to your Steam library, so you don't even have to switch back and forth between the two, and you can kind of play the games that way. And that's like a really good strength of it. Now, the problem that I'm having right now, one of the reasons I bought this was to play some of the modded versions of those old sports games, like NFL Street Reborn, Madden 08 with updated rosters, 2K27, which is like 2K5's mod. I've had some issues getting that stuff to work. Now, I have had limited time to sit here and troubleshoot those things. The NFL Street Reborn mod, I can tell you, I have seen people say that it works on Steam machines. So technically, based off that architecture, it should work on the Steam Deck. So it should work on the Steam machine. But there's a step in that process that it just doesn't allow me to move forward. And I won't get into too much detail, but yeah, as of right now, I'm really excited to kind of cover this game and bring new sets of eyes on it. I know a lot of people tune into my stuff for the maximum stuff. I don't want to brag. I've heard really good reviews. People enjoy the slider sets, the ability that I've had to kind of change some ratings with some of the teams and get some results. The thing I'm trying to get out of these games is simulation football, or at least the representation of it. I know that with these indie games, there's going to be issues. They just don't have the production value and money to animate things or put in full physics engines or do some of the stuff that some higher budget sports games would be able to do. And I'm totally okay with that, and I understand, but so far, this game's sort of impressing me. I cranked the speed up, if you didn't see it halftime, so it's running at the max speed that it can go. I think I'll have to compare some footage from the first half to the second here, so that's kind of where we're at with this game. Yeah, those if you're just trying to play like ROMs of those older games, you should have no issues with this. This is it's essentially a PC. It's just running their operating system, so it doesn't have Windows OS on it. You can put that on it. I mean, more power to you, but Yeah, the ROM stuff I've had really good success with. There's tutorials everywhere on how to install that stuff. If you just do a quick Google search, you can find a tutorial on YouTube on how to get all the emulation stuff set up. The games I've tested so far range from PlayStation 1, Dreamcast, Sega Genesis. I've had good results with all of those so far. The next one I really need to test is some PlayStation 2. And I did put Madden 08 on here, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and play it. So I will say this is not the most powerful PC, so like there are going to be some limitations. Like if you're trying to play brand new AAA titles at like 4K, 240 hertz, 120 frames per second, you're going to be limited probably with that. The games will play, but like I'm still using my PlayStation for like those major releases just because I prefer my single player stuff to be there. But yeah, I'm just sort of checking this out. Man, they are eating this Spencer guy alive here. And I can already tell you a lot of these plays are familiar plays I've seen in other football games, which is good. Maximum has a ton of stuff where I'm just like, what's the outcome supposed to be here? Like, I was actually thinking of doing just a video on that, but like it's not like we're gonna get that game changed, so it's kind of redundant to kind of cover some of the intricacies of some of that, playbook stuff there. I would say this, not that it'll ever happen. If Maximum, like the devs get mad and despite the company or something like that, just go through and enable a bunch of dev tools and there's like a playbook creator or something in there, I would go through that game for free and just fix the playbooks for months. I would just sit there and dick around with that stuff. Look at the toe drag. Good bunch play there. Beat the zone. But like I was saying, there's just so many. You could just tell someone who doesn't know football made a ton of that stuff in Maximum. And that's like the big issue. Like that team that started that game was pretty smart and seemed to know what they wanted to do and like built a pretty solid foundation of a game. The problem is after they all got like laid off and fired and let go and kind of screwed over, everything since has just been half-assed and sort of just like thrown together by, no offense, just a bunch of nerds that don't know anything about American football. I will try to get all the sound stuff fixed by this weekend so that when I do start kind of, streaming this game a little bit more frequently, that stuff should all be working. I will be back in a few, guys. Please continue to enjoy the stream. It'll just be without commentary here for a few minutes. Goodness gracious, guys. Sorry for the sound and also the baby screaming in the background. It has just been one of those nights. This game couldn't have came out on a worse day for me. So they have holding on the defense. One thing I forgot to check earlier is if this has a replay mode, which is very vital to my success here. Of course, every time I plug this controller in, it needs to turn off, which is just fantastic. One thing I do love about the Steam Machine is kind of how easy it is to plug in just about anything to this thing, and it just sort of... There we go. I am trying to use the freeform camera here, and it is just not... the L1 and R1 is not responding. I'll mess around with that replay stuff off camera. So, kind of like I was telling some other people here, I actually haven't been able to actually play this game yet. This is CPU versus CPU right now. I was desperate to just get something for this game put up today, so fortunately live stream is the only thing I could really do right now on limited time and availability, and the CPU stuff's gonna have to work. The gameplay to me is what I was kind of hoping to just show off for people if they're kind of curious about what this game is. This is kind of showing that at a basic level. So unfortunately I can't user this game right now, but graphically, I'll be honest with you, I'm not when it comes to sports games, specifically football, I have found over the years I've like leaned less into the graphics and more into like the visual stimulation I get from the animation and just what's taking place from a football standpoint. So I will say this game, I'm playing this on my Steam machine. I don't know, I didn't check any of the resolution stuff, but I think my monitor, it's supposed to be able to do 1440p, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't capture it at that level. Fumble. The graphics are definitely an upgrade, though, from 26 from what I've seen. I never actually sat down. I didn't have 26, but just from like a screenshot comparison, I could tell you this. The field looks incredible. The field surface itself, like you could see literally the blades of grass. The players don't look terrible. You get some good reflections on the helmets. I would say this looks like a, like, I don't want to say like a current gen game that would stand on its own graphically, but like there are some good shadows here there. This is again the first game I've even dialed up here, so like I don't know what other settings and gameplay elements will have with different not at night things, but yeah, I agree. I was just kind of saying like graphically the game looks acceptable, I guess I'll say that. The human beings animate well. The snow flurries are light. The precipitation is really low. I tried to set that so that I could just have a regular game here, but I'll go through some of these other, game time things and just see if like the daylight has some better lighting and just some different things. I want to see a heavy snowfall game, you know what I mean? So we'll get into all that, don't you worry, but not tonight, unfortunately. I just kind of wanted to get some gameplay out there. give me something that I could chop up and kind of take a look at some of the gameplay elements moving forward. And ultimately, getting into playing this game this weekend, I'm going to try to start a franchise and just like I did with my Maximum stuff, go through and just go through the elements of the game that I could see other people haven't either talked about or covered in depth. I am not like one of those big YouTubers that's going to get millions of views on my videos, so a lot of the stuff that I'm making is just from a curiosity standpoint what I wish other people would have covered with, let's just say, Axis 26. That was basically the reason why I even started making Max content, is because when I was watching this game, people were posting, from the early access and the beta and stuff, and I'm just like, I am trying to see the defense run a cover 2 man-to-man successfully, and like they're picking all these weird plays. They're not picking good third down situational plays. They're just hitting buttons on the field. Like I needed to see some more in-depth gameplay, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to provide with this Axis product. Give everybody an understanding of this game from a more in-depth standpoint, from play calling, situational football, just going through and giving people what they want. Usually the first thing I test in all these games is, can I throw a slant, a curl, and a fade route well? And it's, also as a defensive-minded person, I like to understand defensively how the players are operating, how they move with the motions, how they work in zone. If there's any sort of like man-to-man stuff that I can kind of point out and get to, working through coverage shells to kind of see, how they hold up from a 2 safety look, or how they kind of move into the box and stuff. If you've seen any of that kind of content that I've put out, those are the things that I look for in a lot of these football games. There is a little bit of glossiness to the uniforms, and I'm not sure if that's because there's a little bit of precipitation on the field here. I know Maximum did a pretty good job showing, degradation over the course of a game and stuff, which it looks like they might do something like that in this game. I guess we'll have to play a rain game and kind of see, but just from a offensive standpoint, it looked like there were 6 playbooks. Defensively, you have 2. It's a 3-4 and a 4-3, of course, which is a very standard in the pro game. If I can go in here and create playbooks, I'm going to be expanding that greatly, and I'm hoping that the AI is able to use that stuff. A lot of other guys that I've talked to in their Discord said that potentially is possible. So I'll be doing some more Maximum stuff. I'm actually trying to finish my Dynasty. As much as I've been shitting on that game recently, guys, I want you to understand it's because I love it. Maximum has a very special place in my heart. It kind of has helped me build a YouTube following to an extent, and it's a very good tool for me to be able to use as like just to give me football content, show football gameplay, and do that kind of stuff. Before Maximum, let's just call it Maximum 25, I actually wasn't playing any sports games whatsoever. I actually just sort of fell out of love with all this stuff because Madden ruined it for me. I'll just be honest with you. I just wasn't a person that could sit down and play Madden after a certain year, and I just started not playing sports games completely. So Maxim was kind of me getting back into that, and now it has kind of re-sparked my love, not just for the football video games, but kind of it's built up kind of a hobby, covering this stuff and trying to put a little bit of eyes on to some of these smaller indie football titles. I will say, though, where Maximum has fought me every step of the way to be able to make content and support the game from just making YouTube stuff about it. I mean, I don't expect them to like call me up and fly me to the studio or anything like that. But what I would love if I was able to, like, when these games are doing their thing, participate in giving them feedback at a high level. I would love to, just give them my input as far as like offensively, here's what the AI probably would be thinking. Defensively, here's what, the AI should be doing. Especially in Maximum, my gosh, like that game's, I don't think people that understood football really got too in depth with the um, too in depth with like any of that stuff. So yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of rambling here, but yeah, here's the so there's the create setting, team suite playbook or sorry play editor. Fuck yes, there's a whole playbook editor. You guys are gonna love that because as much as I didn't like Maximum 2020, I love the physics and stuff. I spent so much time making plays in that game. It was worth the price of admission just from that. Okay, so Team Suite essentially is like where you would go to create a team. You could edit existing teams. That's pretty cool. Here's just a bit of that stuff if you guys want to, see. It looks like you have just some basic information. You obviously color. There's a fixed logo palette here of certain things. I'm going to have to re-go through my controls here. For some reason, my L2 and R2 buttons aren't working. So, there's that. You can actually modify the teams on how much they call plays and stuff. That's actually pretty awesome. What I would love to be able to do... Look at... This is so dope. Look at this stuff. So you have your offense... first and short, first and medium, like the type of plays that you would like to run schematically. This is stuff Maximum didn't have. I'm sorry, guys. My R2 and L2 just simply is not working. I don't know why. I don't know if it's this PS4 controller or if it's the game or something. I'll have to see. But, well, you can do a little bit of play. I saw that there's stuff you can edit with the stadiums. Now, I'm not going to get too in-depth with that, but... you can edit existing teams. That's pretty cool. So you have your play editor, so it looks like you can edit certain plays or create brand new ones. Okay, so you have 6 types of plays you can do. It looks like you have a offense run, QB run, normal pass, like something off of play action, RPO, which is dope, and defensive stuff. You guys are gonna love the defensive playbooks I come up with. All right, you're gonna love it. And it looks like you can edit an existing play. I guess that's one I've already created. And then we'll look at the playbook editor. So you can edit the playbooks, which is, this stuff has way more than I was anticipating. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total playbooks, 2 defensive, 6 offensive, okay? I know that doesn't seem like a lot compared to like NCAA or something like that, but at its core, these are the main focuses of an offense. You have air raid, balanced. I'm assuming this is more like your I formation. You have your basic shotgun sets. The pistol is one that became super popular there in the late 2000s. Power run, I'm assuming this is your like 2-3 tight end sets. A lot of tight ends on the field. Fullback definitely is involved. Spread, yeah, 713 plays out of the spread offense. I mean, I'm sure that's pretty self-explanatory. This is like 3-4 receivers on the field constantly. The run game is sprinkled in, 80-20. West Coast, if you're familiar with any of those old 49er Joe Montana teams, you've seen a lot of this in your day. So 4-3 and 3-4. I wish it was the number 4-3, but I'm just being picky. Quite a bit of stuff in those. I'll dive through this stuff, and of course you can create a brand new, or you can edit the playbooks as well, which is pretty cool. Now what I'm hoping I can do is create specific playbooks for specific teams. Like I was just showing off Boston and Buffalo. Buffalo specifically is a team, depending on like the quarterback, in real life it's Josh Allen. I'd love to be able to create a bunch of QB power RPO stuff so he can use his legs as a part of the offense, as a guy who is a major component in the running game and stuff. And also at the goal line, I'm wondering if I could make it so that team would be more prone to have the quarterback run. There's so much that this game just opened up for me. I'm super excited, guys. So not to cut this off, I'm having fun, showing this game off a little bit here. Unfortunately, I'm running on very limited time right now. Um, I appreciate you guys stopping in. I will for sure be pumping out some Axis stuff. There's so much here. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty excited, and the more I talk to people in the Axis community, the more I'm kind of learning about the game and what I can do. Of course, too, it looks like you can go in here and where was it? You can enable mods, which is pretty dope. So I'm hoping that there's some NFL teams that I can just straight up create. I'd just love to be able to have the real NFL teams. Not that these default ones are bad or anything like that, but when I start my franchise, that'll definitely be something that you can look forward to, a 32 team NFL season. So, all right, guys. Any other questions before I cut this off? Anything you guys want to see in any of these menus? Like I said, is basic exhibition mode. I'm not going to jump into franchise or anything right now, but yeah, there's nothing really basic I could show off there. Settings, I'm going to go through some of the stuff later and just kind of make sure. I don't know why my sound is pretty shit tonight. We have our resolution, which I'm not going to mess with that, no. Gameplay sliders are here. I'm sure at some point I will give you guys some custom sliders to use in this game, unlike Maximum Football, where the defensive line needed buffed severely. It didn't look too bad. Like I said, I'm going to comb through this footage tomorrow at work and sort of see exactly how this played out, look at the teams and sort of the outcome that came with it. But you have an accelerated clock. The game speed, like I said, is the only thing right now I've touched. And okay, so you can actually slim that down to get through these AI games a little bit quicker. So there's auto subs. Looks like there's a couple. So there's an icon button passing and the aimed button passing. I don't know what that difference would be. I doubt it's something like the freeform passing that like college football and Madden use, but I could kind of experiment with that stuff when I get a chance. Of course, you could turn penalties and stuff on and off. I actually saw a few penalties in that game, which doesn't happen in Maximum Football, right, Sweden? Right? And yeah, that's basically it there. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I know it was kind of a dry spell for the Axis stuff today, so I just wanted to jump on here and go live and show you guys the game a little bit. And because it's brand new to me too, I don't know what the hell's going on here. So stay tuned. I will be pumping out some more stuff here. Obviously, I'm going to be in this playbook stuff. Don't you worry about that. Your boy User is going to be coming live with the 4-2-5 playbook, a wide 9 defensive scheme. I'm going to go through that 3-4 and tear through that bitch too. I'm going to create a few offensive playbooks, hopefully. That's just there's so many plays that I would have to add to that stuff. I don't know. We'll see what I want to do. But all right, guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Give me a like. If you're not subscribed and you're looking forward to Axis stuff, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be hitting everybody with a ton of Axis content here over the next couple months. I'm still going to be trying to chug through some Maximum Football as well. Sorry for rambling, but that's it for me, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by.